You bet! From beyond the logo!
Forget typical stars, we're witnessing a total evolution. Some players don't just compete, they paralyze the room with pure, unadulterated awe. A singular shadow currently towers over the entire court, the legendary Caitlin Clark. Crammed stadiums, viral explosions, and icons calling out her greatness. This isn't just about the box score. She's doing something far more profound than simply racking up buckets. Tearing up old blueprints, she's shattering milestones and forcing professional basketball to rethink reality. When Big Diesel labels her the truth on a competitor's show, the buzz transforms. This isn't marketing. It's a legend being forged. Her talent is undeniable. Now we wonder how much the sport will warp to match her sheer gravity. Ignore the revenue and cultural shifts for a moment. Just look at the craft. Her actual play silences every doubter. The hype stems from a simple reality. Her dominance on the hardwood is utterly terrifying. Forget the newcomer curve. Her production is elite. She's stacking triple doubles while others are still learning the plays. She transcends gendered expectations. She isn't female athlete great, she's just a basketball titan. Her highlights halt every thumb on the feed, forcing triple takes from fans stunned by her court awareness and fearless long-range artillery. Observe the marksmanship. Launching from 28 feet out feels as effortless to her as a standard foul shot. Center court daggers and fading jumpers she connects even with frantic defenders obstructing her entire view. A total savage. Launching from the emblem. Splash. The release from that hand is pure, lethal lightning. Throughout her inaugural campaign, she sank 122 triples. That's a freshman record and the second highest total ever recorded in any professional season, bar none. She ended only 6 conversions shy of Sabrina's historic all-time benchmark. Process that for a newcomer. Beyond just the quantity, the sheer complexity of her attempts is staggering. She once dismantled the Washington Mystics, torching their arena with 7 deep bombs and 30 hard-earned points. 7 strikes. That showing equaled the greatest distance shooting night ever seen from a first-year pro. A massive crowd of 20,000 spectators roared as she played, filling a stadium that hadn't hosted such energy for years. Her typical attempt that evening spanned 24 feet, outdistancing every other competitor in the league that entire year. However, her true brilliance lies beyond scoring. Her elite vision makes her a master facilitator. She shattered the yearly record by tallying 337 dimes. Forget rookie stats, she owns the history books. Distributing 8.4 balls per night, she led the league and posted a top 5 all-time average. She even set a nightly high by dropping 19 assists against Dallas. That total is so absurd that most seasoned playmakers retire without ever reaching such heights. Generating 66 points through her own buckets and passes, she absolutely pulverized Diana Taurasi's previous game production record. 19 dimes in 40 minutes. Think about that. That equals 19 flawless split-second calculations. She spotted 19 openings that remained invisible to everyone else, threading the needle with surgical precision every single time. Furthermore, she etched her name as the premier first-year pro to ever secure a triple-double. Clark launches her initial center court missile of the year, and then she replicates the feat again. She decimated New York with 19 points, 12 boards, and 13 assists. That specific stat line was unprecedented in professional hoops. A newcomer delivering such stats was unheard of, especially since she bullied an elite conference powerhouse to do it. Her court intelligence bridges the gap between talent and dominance. Analyze the footage to catch the nuanced brilliance. She utilizes deceptive pivots to paralyze secondary coverage, buying just enough time to whip a cross-court bullet. Anticipating the trap before it snaps shut, she locates open teammates instantly. Her masterful pacing through screens forces defenders into impossible blunders, leaving them scrambling in her wake. The public noticed, the analysts marveled, and finally, the sport's greatest icons were forced to publicly acknowledge her. Shaq labels Clark the real deal. This specific interaction altered the narrative. Visualize the setting. Shaq joins Angel Reese for an episode of her personal broadcast. They share a deep history and mutual respect. As a veteran Tigers graduate and trusted advisor, he boosted her professional path and secured her major brand deals. Shaq was her ultimate defender, yet he posed a query that instantly transformed the entire atmosphere of the interview. He questioned the obsession surrounding Clark. The mood flickered. Reese attempted a straightforward, uncomplicated response. She credited the hype to those legendary distance shots and the spectacular perimeter marksmanship people adore. There goes Clark again. Defenders must pick her up well before the timeline or risk immediate punishment. Unreal. However, Shaq dismissed that surface-level take, diving deeper into a justification that far exceeded mere scoring ability. He likened Clark to Steph Curry, not as a casual remark or passing thought, but as a legitimate hardwood parallel. His point was that Curry lacks the raw power of LeBron and diverges from the standard superstar mold, yet he shatters every known limit on the hardwood in ways nobody has ever done. Ann and Shaq then shifted their focus to Clark, declaring that the exact same logic applies to her game. She pulls off unprecedented feats. Never has anyone performed that way on such a regular, consistent basis. Then dropped the bombshell quote that set the entire basketball world ablaze for days. Shaq confessed that he used to be a massive skeptic. Out of pure loyalty to LSU and his bond with Reese, he admitted watching Clark and assuming she would miss every difficult shot. Yet she drained them repeatedly. If I bet 10 times that you will miss and you bury every single one, then you are the real deal. This wasn't some pundit chasing viral engagement or cheap internet clicks. This was a 4-time NBA champion, a legendary titan of the sport, 3-time Finals MVP, and the veteran voice behind the big podcast. A veteran who has witnessed peak athletic greatness his whole career, staring at a 22-year-old and admitting he has never seen anything like it. She is the absolute truth, and the digital world erupted. Supporters flooded the feed. Shaq just honored Caitlin Clark while appearing on Angel Reese's personal podcast. Others made light of how Clark's presence looms over every episode of Reese's program, regardless of the actual subject matter. One highly popular post read, "Folks, welcome back to the Caitlin Clark Hour. I am your host for today, Angel Reese." However, beyond the playful banter, a profound transformation was taking place. When a figure with Shaq's immense stature, a former critic, publicly validates a player as a revolutionary force, it transcends mere media hype. This is history unfolding. Stephen A. Smith had already been quite vocal regarding the harsh treatment Clark was facing. I want everyone to consider this scenario. Picture Caitlin arriving on this roster and just riding the pine. Mossy urged the league to safeguard its primary attraction, drawing parallels to how the NBA once navigated the rise of Michael Jordan. He contended that Clark's massive influence on broadcast ratings and overall profits meant the WNBA was obligated to protect her from being a physical target for opponents every single time she played. The narrative surrounding Clark evolved from wondering if she could compete to how far she could take this sport, and the legends already knew. The grind behind those shattered records. Natural gifts open the door, but relentless effort keeps you inside. This represents the chapter of Caitlin Clark's journey that never goes viral, yet it outweighs any highlight reel. The reality is, the WNBA didn't exactly roll out a red carpet. They truly tried to break her. Moving from the college game to the professional level proved to be a massive, grueling adjustment. There are countless nuances to master, and one must absorb them at an incredible, lightning pace. Nishi launched her professional tenure by grinding through 11 games in just 20 days. 11. She grappled with the most aggressive, lightning-fast competition of her life, while also managing a media circus unlike anything women's sports had ever seen. Her squad began 1-8. She coughed up 10 turnovers in her professional debut. She had one outing where she managed only 3 points, which some critics celebrated as the exact outcome they expected. Evidence that the praise was empty. Proof that college success fails to translate. Evidence that she was all flash with no substance. Yet, that is where the path diverges between Clark and her doubters. The cynics tuned out after those initial struggles. Clark doubled down. She spent that season refining her playstyle during live action, discovering which passes could thread the professional needle, learning exactly where her teammates needed the rock, mastering how to beat double teams before they even formed, and knowing exactly when to accelerate or slow the pace. When the Olympic hiatus arrived, a bitter moment since Clark was left off the American roster, she refused to feel sorry for herself. She used that break to reset and recharge, returning to the floor much sharper. In her first 10 matchups following the break, she put up 24.7 points and 9.3 assists. Clark grabs the ball and fires. She nails the three. She is simply unstoppable on those pin-down screens. That run featured their first 5-game streak of victories since 2015. She shot 43.5% overall and 37% from deep. She had become a far more evolved athlete, more patient, more decisive, and completely deadly. Throughout the rest of the year, she averaged 23.1 points every game. If you projected those numbers across a complete season, she would have ranked second in the entire league, behind only A'ja Wilson. She didn't just find her rhythm, she exploded. Compare the August and September film to her May performance. During the spring, she merely reacted to the opposition's moves. By autumn, she was the one dictating the terms. The game's rhythm belonged to her. Every offensive sequence was her masterpiece. She pushed Mitchell to play harder and sharpened Boston's positioning, igniting a squad that found its fire because their young floor general believed in their soul. This evolution wasn't accidental. It was forged in total obsession through endless video analysis, tireless practice sessions, and a ferocious spirit that wouldn't let a shaky debut define her legacy. Consequently, her squad traded a 13-win slump for a ticket to the postseason dance. She wrapped the calendar averaging 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 boards, while sinking over 90% of her foul shots. She claimed the newcomer crown, securing 66 out of 67 possible votes. The moment your name echoed across that theater as the top selection, you gripped that Indiana jersey for the very first time, earning a spot on the elite All-WNBA first team. She mirrored a feat untouched since Candace Parker in 2008. It's more than raw ability. It is the union of natural gift and a relentless grind that leaves no stone unturned. Pure magnetism and the undeniable gravity of the Caitlin Clark era. Let's break down the finances, as the commercial statistics are just as jaw-dropping as her on-court performance. She inked an 8-year, $28 million pact with Nike, the most lucrative endorsement deal in women's hoops history. Her portfolio boasts names like Wilson, State Farm, and Gatorade, alongside a guest spot on Saturday Night Live. Anticipation for Monday's draft is peaking, with Iowa's legendary star poised to go first overall. Both Time and the AP crowned her as the premier athlete of the year. Yet, those solo deals are merely the surface. The true miracle lies in how she reinvented the entire professional landscape. Research from Indiana University proves she sparked 26.5% of the league's total financial pulse during her debut run, more than one-fourth of. The entire league's income from seat sales to television rights was fueled by a single individual. Experts forecast her future financial contribution to reach heights of nearly $1 billion. Fever ticket sales rocketed from 4,000 nightly in 2023 to 17,000 in 2024, a record-breaking surge. They actually outdrew the Indiana Pacers, the men's NBA team playing in that very same building. Attendance across the league spiked by 105% whenever she took the floor compared to when she sat out. When the Fever traveled, host arenas saw an 87% jump in crowd size. Cities like Washington and Los Angeles relocated games to massive NBA stadiums just to house the overwhelming demand. The Las Vegas Aces traded their 12,000-seat home for the massive T-Mobile Arena just to keep up. They moved more tickets for that lone matchup than the first two games of the previous championship series put together. Half a dozen television networks witnessed their highest viewership ever during her inaugural season. ESPN, ESPN2, ABC, CBS, and beyond. The season finale saw a historic turnout, with games averaging 1.32 million viewers, nearly tripling the previous benchmark. The 2024 draft itself shattered ceilings with 2.45 million people watching. No player in Division I history, regardless of gender, had ever reached 3,000 points and 1,000 assists until her. Her court vision is unparalleled. Over half of all contests were sold out, a 156% rise, while merchandise sales exploded by 500%. Process that figure, 500%. And there is one metric that truly clarifies her dominance. Out of the 24 WNBA broadcasts reaching 1 million viewers in 2024, she was the star in 21 of them. This is the reality behind the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. It isn't just clever marketing. It's a tangible economic shift. She didn't just put the Indiana Fever on the map. She fundamentally increased the wealth of every franchise in the association. Millions who never cared for professional hoops were suddenly glued to their screens, with her agent noting her true worth is basically unpayable. She pulled in $76,535 as a first-year pro. Her actual contribution to the league's wealth was, by any logical metric, valued in the hundreds of millions. The league is now rewriting its labor agreements, largely due to the massive revenue she helped pull in. Anticipation is mounting that the upcoming collective bargaining will trigger massive pay raises for every single athlete. Her dominance isn't merely padding her bank account. She is hoisting the entire league's market value into orbit. Look past the scoreboard and the revenue for a moment. What is the true essence of this phenomenon? Women's professional hoops now has a distinct timeline, the era before her, and the revolution happening right now. The draft arrives this Monday, and Iowa's golden child is the undisputed lock for that coveted top spot. Let us analyze the impact. Historically, the league was a hidden treasure constantly fighting for a mainstream spotlight. Absolute icons and legendary ballers like A'ja Wilson or Breanna Stewart were out there grinding for years. Titans like Candace Parker and Diana Taurasi dominated for decades without ever sparking the media wildfire she ignited. Back then, the stands were half empty. National television broadcast deals were considered modest at the very best. That massive chasm between the women's game and the men's league felt like an unchangeable law of nature. She didn't bridge that gap alone, but she smashed the gates so wide they can never be barred again. She proved that elite women's talent, when packaged with raw charisma, can hijack the entire sporting world's attention. She confirmed that the crowds will show up. People will tune in just to witness the Clark experience. They will buy the gear and pack 20,000 seats if you give them a legend to follow. Across the country, young girls watch her launch from half-court and realize their own potential is truly limitless. They watch her whip blind passes through traffic and fall in love with hoops, just like kids did watching Magic. Iowa's basketball program actually sold out their entire season's tickets for the year after she had already moved on. A capacity crowd filled the arena in Evanston tonight for the Northwestern game against the visiting Iowa Hawkeyes. The wildest part of the story? She wasn't even wearing the black and gold jersey anymore. The fire she lit outlasted her stay. That is more than fandom. It is a seismic cultural transformation. We are seeing a total pivot. The Indiana Fever are constructing a $78 million facility for women only. This massive investment is fueled directly by the tidal wave of cash and attention she dragged into Indianapolis. Tourism in the city goes into overdrive whenever there is a home game scheduled on the weekend. Local officials saw web traffic for team-related info explode by 501% post-draft. This is true transformation. It is not just about padding stat sheets. It is about filling every single seat in the house. She is fueling bank accounts and the dreams of every young athlete who now sees this as their peak. She finished fourth in the race for Most Valuable Player as a rookie while securing first-team All-Pro honors. She became the first rookie since Michael Jordan to average 18 points and 8.5 assists in playoffs. Michael Jordan is the only comparable name for a 22-year-old being this dominant in her very first season. The terrifying reality for opponents? She is only just beginning to figure out how this professional game works. If this is the start, what does she look like in year 3 or year 5? That is the nightmare scenario keeping every general manager in the league tossing and turning at night. And it is exactly why every basketball junkie on the planet is currently glued to their television screens. She has ripped up the playbook, shattered expectations, and left every legend wondering what could possibly come next. Records are turning to dust, while defenses chase the ghosts of the plays she has already finished. Despite the mountains of points and the endless highlights, the true story of her legacy remains partially unwritten. How much higher can she take this game? We are only just beginning to grasp her true ceiling. One thing remains absolutely certain. This is nowhere near the finish line for the young superstar. This is merely the prologue. The curtains have only just been drawn on this incredible new era.